What's that sound? It's aliens and they're living in your town.
Damn.
They have arrived. They're all around. So many aliens living in your town. Are you scared of aliens? Well, you should be. 'Cause aliens
Nice.
Hello, weirdos. How's everybody doing out there in Weirdo Land?
Doing well. How
Doing
about
well.
yourself?
Good,
Mr. Bird?
good. We were talking before the podcast started. Now, if you're just listening with the audio, you don't realize we've turned and dimmed down the lights. Research says when you dim the lights, the audience feels more relaxed, kind of like almost seductive style.
Oh, I like it.
They feel like they take a button down. They loosen up and they want to get weird.
I'm here for it.
Yeah.
That's what the research says. Dimming the lights brings a more relaxed audience.
Let's turn them down more.
Turn them down and let's turn it out. Vicky, how the hell are you doing?
Good, good. Countdown to the end of school.
Oh, teachers unite. I know you guys are looking at that thing, that clock, I should say. That thing could mean
I know you're looking down at that thing.
Yeah, looking
Oh,
at that
yeah.
looking at that clock like a kid in a math class looks at that clock. Gosh, was that not the worst? If you fucking hate math like I do, the first 5 minutes of a math class was the worst
Yeah.
because the first 5 minutes felt like an hour and a half. You eyeball that clock and you go, shit this, man. It's only been 5 minutes and she's been talking about integers for so long. Can I get an amen on that?
Amen.
Integers.
Hashtag fuck math.
Oh, yeah.
The funny thing is when you're a very young age, you realize that when you start paying attention to the clock, it takes way longer.
Oh, yeah. Especially if you're waiting for a package or waiting for a TV show or something that you've been expecting to come out.
Or the TV to be wheeled in the room.
Oh, man. I loved it when a teacher said we're watching a video.
Yeah.
That was
We were all stoked.
Lights dimmed in those situations, too.
We call that a fuck yeah moment. When they bring especially when you thought it was going to be a quiz. I remember it was 7th grade. I remember it, Mr. Heisler's class at Hal Watkins. There was this pop quiz. I knew that was coming up, or a quiz of sorts. I didn't study. I needed to pass it. And the motherfucker, he called an audible and gave us a movie instead.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's those moments
Yeah.
that, see, Vicky, just know if you do show a movie every now and then, you're going to make at least one kid very happy.
Well, when I was a regular classroom teacher, that was every Friday, and it was usually Goosebumps Friday.
Damn.
nice. That's good.
Yeah.
Denny's loves Goosebumps.
I read them as a kid. Yeah, it was. I guess I don't know if it's still the same way, but they definitely encouraged reading a lot as a kid.
Yeah.
During the time frame I was in school, it was heavily pushed, and you got big rewards for doing it.
Do they still put a high mark on that? Is reading
Yeah.
still pushed?
Oh, absolutely. They read books and they take little quizzes and they earn points and there's competitions and stuff like that. I mean, they have to break down what they're reading a little bit more. I would love for them just to let children read for enjoyment and to learn from the experience. When I have a small group, we'll just do a chapter book and I don't drill them too much about this, that, and the other. I want them to love to read. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I look back as a kid, and there were some things that worked with me where I was so engaged, and I would pay attention, and there were things I was out pretty quick, and I try to look back and go, what made me want to be engaged with this one thing? And
Yeah, why do you latch on to certain things?
The Boston Tea Party. I was so into the Boston Tea Party. Why was I into that, but say not, I don't know, whatever else I was not into?
Well, somebody might say maybe it's a past life experience.
Ooh, there you go.
Yeah,
I
maybe.
I like it.
Well, that's why I like Montessori schools, especially as at a young age, because it allows the kid to gravitate to what they are naturally inclined to like, whether it's art, acting, math, STEM, all that stuff.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Let's go back to a 8-year-old Beckett. I feel like when you're 8 years old, you're at a point in your life where you kind of know what you are really into. You start to really kind of 8 to 10.
Come into yourself.
Well, because you're still a dreamer and you're not beaten down by the world of you can't do that. The odds are against you, kid. You still think you can conquer the world. So 8 to 10-year-old Beckett, what does he think he's going to do?
Something with animals, believe it or not. I was a huge animal lover.
You still are.
Still am. It was like what my main thing. I actually thought I wanted to be an architect at one point too when I was really, really young. But my ayahuasca experience, I actually thought about that version of me.
Little Beckett.
Little Beckett, because I thought about insecurities I have and my ego and how I may act in certain situations rather than carrying my full, authentic, unvarnished self forward. And what my experience during the ayahuasca ceremony was, is it went back to the last moment, which ironically was probably around 8, where girls hadn't creeped into the picture yet. You know, I had a vision of like me skipping down the sidewalk. Like my parents weren't divorced yet. Like life was just like,
Damn.
life was good. You know, life
Tell
was
us more.
good. You know what I mean?
Why don't you lay down on the couch?
Delve into it.
Okay, I love it. Vicky, 8 to 10-year-old Vicky.
My mom was a teacher, so I wanted to be a teacher at that point. I was well aware, starting in 2nd grade was when I was into boys. That was Keith Livingway was 2nd grade. And I said if I ever had a boy, I was going to name him Keith. So my oldest son is named Keith.
Oh,
That's
There you go.
hilarious.
That's amazing.
Look at
yeah.
that.
3rd grade, it was Mike Starr.
All right.
And he was in your class with you?
He was in my class.
And what made you like a Mike Star? What was it?
He was kind of tall.
Had to be the last name.
I mean, that doesn't hurt. It's the Star does not hurt.
Yeah.
It's a great name.
And then
Great
I
name.
ended up, ironically, Lake Worth Christian with him at 9th grade. It's because he disappeared after 3rd grade. He went to private school, and then I ended up at private school at Lake Worth Christian, and there was Mike Starr.
And did we, I don't
No.
know, did the stars align?
No.
No.
I was more into Mark DuBois, as in DuBois Farms.
Now, was Mark
What about Du Bois
Du Bois,
Park?
was he into Mark the Girl? Mark, I don't know Mark Du Bois. Is he famous?
Well, the DuBois Farms.
Oh, okay.
yeah,
He's legit.
the local DuBois Farms, yeah.
As in Du Bois Park?
That's probably
It
family
makes
related
sense.
as well,
Dubois,
yeah.
the-
We were just over there
Yeah,
the
we
other
were.
day. We love Diaper Beach.
we filmed a photo shoot there.
I grew up in this county, and in the 80s and 90s, we call it Du Bois. We actually call it Du Bois Park.
Du Bois, that's what we
And
call it.
it
too.
was also affectionately named Diaper Beach because you'd go there on a Saturday, and there'd be 900 kids just shitting, pissing,
Oh, jeez.
diapers. Just back in the day. They really-
Water just unmoving.
it was the 80s. They didn't really have laws.
So we used to go to Du
morals.
Bois too, because you can go out to the beach, and then if you go to wherever, like the diaper areas, and you veer extreme right, kind of where we were doing the photo shoot, you can go pretty far back in that canal.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, it's I love it out there.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a local. I can make fun of it.
I had a quick question at school. Did you guys have Channel 1 in Degrassi Senior High back?
First of all, it's Degrassi Junior High.
Junior High.
Senior High, get out of my house. Yes, but I watched. I'm old, so I watched the original Degrassi in school with Spike, who was in 7th grade and pregnant, which
Wow.
was a big time. That's a big storyline that rattles you. They
Right.
bring that up a lot in health class.
All
Mrs.
right.
Boysaw,
Interesting.
who also taught us about herpes, taught us about Spike getting pregnant
All right.
from Degrassi Junior High.
Jeez, sorry.
A lot of name dropping of teachers today.
Yeah.
Hopefully they reach out. Denny's at 9-year-old, 10-year-old Denny's. What did he want to do?
I wanted to be a comic book artist. Was originally what I was gonna do.
He's a really awesome drawer. Not tracer. This motherfucker can freehand.
I
this
can
shit.
trace pretty well.
I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Oh, if I was to lay, like kind of like
I can probably draw a caricature of a bird.
He's sketching me, but you know that sexy Italy by the window with the wind blowing through.
For sure.
Italian music playing. Him just sketching me. He could do it.
That's awesome.
I originally wanted to do that, and then now I just do art I find it to be very therapeutic. It's such you get a product at the end of it. You can see your work through the progress.
That's cool.
Any Star Wars character or G.I. Joe he can do.
Yeah, any cartoon I could probably replicate. Things that get photorealistic, probably I would have to practice and learn. a little bit.
Interesting.
But painting is kind of something I've taken on recently that I feel is very therapeutic. It's something new that I've never really, but it's much different from drawing pen and paper.
Yeah, very cool.
We call him TF. Talented fuck.
Oh yeah.
All right, let's get into some.
What was your answer, Bird? Did you go?
Honestly, yeah. I think I'm doing exactly what I wanted to do.
You wanted to entertain.
Yeah, I think when you're in a big family like I did, you're always kind of trying to get someone's attention because there's so many people there,
Right.
and every person in my family is somewhat of a character.
They all are.
They
yes.
all have
the Penningtons.
a very big personality, and I love every fucking one of them. But you really kind of had to sing for your supper,
Yeah.
to kind of hang with the biggins.
Yeah,
so
That's
yeah.
interesting. When did baseball become?
Baseball, no, baseball was always my love,
Yeah.
and I think I realized being self-aware my junior going into my senior year, thinking I'm probably not going to be able to play after college, but I can coach, and I loved it so much. But again, even in coaching, it's a lot. It's a lot of competition.
Yep.
It's a lot of eating shit and not a lot of money in the beginning.
Yep.
And you got to sacrifice a lot, and you can make an awesome living do it, but it's very, very competitive, and it's serious too.
Yeah.
I hated dealing with parents.
Ugh.
Parents are no
That's
offense, 'cause I know we
brutal.
got a lot of parents listening.
Yeah, it's brutal.
Some of y'all are fucking assholes.
once you become parents,
Oh,
everything.
some of you parents are dicks.
Yeah. Do you miss it?
Yes, I do. I miss I miss the things that I love about it.
Have you ever thought about combining your passions?
Dude, I'm so busy.
No. Okay.
Yeah, it's not to sound like, because I hate when people brag about how fucking busy they are. Everyone's busy.
Yeah.
Everyone's got a career. Everyone's got things to do.
Yeah.
I just it doesn't work out
Fair
for
enough,
me.
fair
As
enough,
much
fair
as I
enough.
would like to. I
Yeah,
would love
yeah,
to do
yeah.
it.
Are you sure, Bird? You don't want to get.
Well, I like but if an opportunity, I'm
Okay.
not closed off to anything.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just people always ask me, Bird, you want to play in this adult softball league? Nah, I'm good. I've had my quota of men in their 40s fighting each other over if it's fair or foul.
My brain was going more to broadcasting.
Oh yeah, I hear you. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll talk after the podcast.
Yeah, as we do. We have a podcast after the podcast.
I love it.
The way it goes is Vicky leaves first within about 5 minutes, and that's usually long. She's here 5 minutes. Then me, Denny's, and Beckett kind of get turned.
We kind of yeah.
Solve the world's problems.
Thursday is Friday's Eve. so-
Yeah,
Yeah, we have a good time. I think it's time now for a little Ask Vicky. Ask her now.
I like it.
Okay, Vicky, we have some questions for you. You being the psychic, the ghost expert here. First question. Let's say a ghost wants to shave a beard or cut their hair. Could they? For example, I have a ghost here. The whole time they have long hair, they have a beard. Then I see them, I don't know, 3 weeks later, flat top, clean shaven.
Well, not that they actually physically do it, but a lot of spirits will present themselves at different ages, at different times. So it could be that there's an old saying that a lot of times spirits will present themselves in their early 40s, because a lot of people look their best in their early 40s.
Ooh, that's
What?
good to know.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a
I
fucking...
always said Bird's got a glow about him.
Well, I'm in my mid-40s, so that ship has sailed.
So that means I'm
Barely.
getting ready
You
to.
just
I'm getting
edged
ready
it.
to peak. That's great news.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. Yeah, get out of here, you hot piece of ass.
Beg's in his second peak.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But yeah, spirits can present themselves in different ways.
Okay, so that leads to the next question, which I think is sort of a hybrid. It goes, Vicky, you talk about some of the stuff you see, and not to be a jerk, but it sounds like magic. Is what you do a version of magic? And if it's not, how is it not magic?
Because I'm not conjuring anything. I'm just simply visions come into my head. I do not practice what I do. In other words, I don't sit down and I'm going to meditate and say, okay, now spirits come to me. I don't use any kind of helper items. Like I don't use tarot cards. I don't use a crystal ball. I don't do anything like that. I don't actively practice what I do. I just do it.
So it was a pretty lengthy email, real girthy, Nennies, about 9 paragraphs deep. And I think too they were also going into the fact not only you doing magic, but spirits. Kind of like you're saying, they can go from one age to another, and I see their point of view. It's kind of a sleight of hand trick there, where they're going, I'm here, I'm there, I'm this, I'm that. It's different. I'm beard, I'm no beard, I'm young, I'm old. I could see in layman's terms how that could be considered magic. And maybe let's not get caught up on the term magic.
No. I mean, I personally don't see it as that. I mean, it does mention in the Bible people who have the gift of discernment. So you can determine the difference between a human spirit, a demonic, an angel, things like that. And it actually is a gift that is talked about in the Bible. I was brought up religious. So I am extremely careful about what I do, regardless if it's a reading and a psychic ability or a paranormal investigation. I'm very careful with what I do because of my religious background.
Now, you bring up your religious background. I've heard you bring that up before. as an adult now doing all this stuff, is religion still a backbone of what you do, or is that an afterthought?
I think the way that I conduct myself is dictated by my upbringing and my belief in what I was taught about the Bible. Now, I think that as I get older and I see more things, I think more into how my interpretation of the Bible has changed.
I think that happens with a lot of people. I'm not saying everybody, but I've even noticed, since I've known Kevin Ralston, he's always been somebody that he same thing. And he probably, if I had to guess, more of a strict religious background than you. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like he's talking about the movie Carrie.
He has a very strict original.
And if you don't know that movie, I apologize. You will not get that reference. But yeah, I think if you are, because to me that's a pretty extreme childhood when you are raised with Armageddon and the trumpets and and I'm not saying you were, but I know that there are some people listening to this podcast that were raised under the very ruly hand of religion, and they would just, or I should say unruly is what I'm looking for. They would, by the age 14 or 15, they start kind of rebelling on it because it's so overwhelming and it can't reach, I don't know, almost like a common perspective there.
Organized religion, I believe, especially as I get older, was designed to keep the masses in control, to be able to tell them what to do, when to do, and how to do it. I always keep in mind that the Bible was written by man, and it's been interpreted and reinterpreted and reinvented by man. So I use it now as more of like the big picture overall without looking at every single detail, because honestly, if you have actually read the Bible, you are going to find completely different things in the Old Testament and the New Testament that completely contradict each other. Even within the same Old Testament, you might find two verses that completely annihilate each other.
Yeah,
So,
and that's what Kevin will always say from the show. He'll just go, it's about interpretation a lot of times. And
100%.
Yeah, Becky, you came from a religious background. Would you say it was strict?
No, I think my dad's one of those people who doesn't seem religious unless you engage in a conversation and you're like, whoa. But he was Southern Baptist.
I don't hate that, though.
Yeah.
I like that.
No, I like that. It's like me being a veg. Like I'm one of those rare people that I have friends that I've been friends with for a year or two, and then like we'll go out to dinner one night and like I get like the veggie roll and they're like, "Are you a veg?" I didn't even know, because like I'm not really like, I don't advertise. So my dad's like that. My mom was also raised Christian, somewhat religious, but she just liked the structure. That's why she put me in Pope John Paul and like those kind of things. But yeah, it definitely was a backbone. It definitely gave me a framework. But as I grew older and started, I'm a curious person. I start looking, and I always think a lot actually about what Denny's has remarked about how his parents brought him up with his upbringing as it relates to religion, almost like Montessori. Like they kind of like gave him an opportunity to explore a lot of different paths.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was going to ask Denny's, just for anybody who's newly listening, your background, but that's funny that you remember Denny's talking about that. I mean, if you don't mind, Denny's, your religious background, I think it's something to where it really kind of, it can either screw with somebody, it can help them. It's really how you present it. So what did your parents do?
So I was raised non-religious whatsoever, and it was later in my life, I'd say probably more in high school than middle school. I kind of got through middle school. I asked my parents occasionally, why do some families go to church and why do some not? And they go, some people follow, the path of God or Jesus or whatever. He's like, if you're interested in it, start reading on it. Read a few different, religions